By the end of this video, you will have learned at least 4 different ways to become a better cat parent today. Some of the things that I discuss you may be familiar with, and some of these ideas may be a little bit foreign. Either way, this information will 100% help improve the bond between you and your animal companion. And in light of my channel, we're talking about cats. Hello friends, it's Sil here. Thanks for tuning into this video. If you're one of my subscribers, you are aware of my extensive background in veterinary medicine and animal welfare. However, I'm also aware that my channel is still relatively small, so most of the people clicking on this video have probably never seen my face before. And in light of the fact that this is information that I learned in order to help me improve myself as a cat parent, I figured it doesn't hurt to give you a little bit of a background about me. For over 10 years, I've worked in animal welfare. I've worked in an array of veterinary clinics and hospitals as a tech or assistant. I've worked in zoos, I've worked with wildlife, I've worked in rescue, I pet sit. Basically, my entire life is dedicated to caring about animals. I graduated 2 years ago with my BS in biology, so that this year I would be able to apply to vet school. And throughout these experiences, I recognized that there was a lot of information that I was learning that was helping improve me as a cat parent. And from realizing that, I came up with the idea of my model parent community. This is a community of people who are committed to making the most out of their human-animal bond. It started in small ways from the communities of people that I was talking to in real life. And from there, I realized that there are a lot of people out there that take their cat parenting very seriously and really want to make the most out of it as well. So I figured the least that I can do is share some of the things that I've learned from my experiences so I can help that community grow. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the 4 ways that you can become a better cat parent today. My first piece of advice coming in strong is understand your cat's medical care. And I'm talking about anything. If you're thinking to yourself, all I do is take my cat to go get vaccinated for like 1 or 2 vaccines. I don't have to do too much reading about it. I just get the notification in my email to come. My cat gets a poke. I did what I needed to do as a parent. You're right. You are doing the basics as a parent. But this video is about what it's like to be a better cat parent. And a better cat parent takes a second to get a simple understanding of what kind of diseases are being injected into their cat. But there are 2 that are a basic necessity for almost every cat household. FVRCP, which is feline distemper, and rabies. So what is FVRCP, or feline distemper? FVRCP is a combination vaccine. Rhinotracheitis, calicivirus, and panleukopenia. Rhinotracheitis is a severe upper respiratory infection. Calicivirus causes oral disease and respiratory issues. Panleukopenia is slightly more fatal because this disease affects the blood cells and intestines. Say that your cat's not vaccinated and they run outside and come in contact with an animal that has one of these viruses. Your animal is significantly more likely to die from these very common viral infections. And more than that, feline distemper, or FVRCP, is more fatal in kittens than it is in adult cats. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys know what rabies is generally, but not everybody understands why it is so important. The first reason I'll say is that it is legally required in most areas because it is not only fatal to animals, but humans as well. Your animal's vaccination status is not only beneficial for your pet, but the general public's health as well. Now, I am familiar with people who have elderly cats that never leave the house and tend to opt out of getting their boosters because, you know, the cat's kind of slowly approaching the gates of heaven. And so in situations like that, people tend to use their judgment and say it is highly unlikely that they would get rabies. They're not around any other animals. And so that's how some people create relationships with their vets, where they choose not to vaccinate their animal. Some other cases where sometimes your animal may have a reaction to the vaccine. This is because it attacks their systems more rapidly. If you have a kitten and they're being vaccinated for FVRCP, they will receive a series of FVRCP shots when they're around 6 to 8 weeks. Then every 3 to 4 weeks up until they're 16 weeks old, they will receive booster shots. And for the rabies vaccine, their first shot is when they're around 12 to 16 weeks old. Generally, after a year, they'll just be receiving the booster vaccinations according to whatever schedule your doctor recommends. For example, there's a 3-year rabies or a 1-year rabies, and depending on which cat clinic I was working at, some doctors would recommend the 3-year, some doctors would recommend the 1-year, and the reasons could array from what the clinic charges to what the doctor personally thinks about how your animal will respond to the vaccine. Therefore, it is very important that when you get a kitten and they get their first series of the shot, it is very important to follow through with the rest of the series, or they're not actually vaccinated against any of these 3 viral infections. And I say this to show the nuance that it takes to come up with what's the smartest thing to approach to how you care for your cat. This information is not helping you become a better cat parent just because you know the science behind the vaccines. What it's doing is helping you learn how to make more well-rounded decisions when you approach your cat's care. The second piece of advice that I would give to help you become a better cat parent today is stop giving them stuff that builds up plaque on their teeth. If you can reduce the amount of access your cat has to crunchy foods and increase their access to more puree-based foods or more pate-based diet, you just saved yourself thousands of dollars in veterinary bills. That's how simple the tip is. And you'll thank me later when you don't have to schedule a dental with your cat because the plaque has built up so terribly in your cat's mouth that it can't even eat due to the fact that its teeth are decaying. And hear me when I say this, that this is coming from a place of being in your shoes. I've had Mochi for 4 years, and despite how much I was seeing from people around me brushing their cat's teeth, because I saw some vets that weren't doing it and some vets that were, and I saw it wasn't that common for people to be doing it, I didn't think it was the most important thing for me to be focused on at the time. But now I'm looking at Mochi's teeth, I'm starting to see the plaque build up, and I'm starting to see the signs of a cat who's on a path to needing a dental. I have 100% taken my cat's teeth more seriously. I'm taking their diet more seriously and seeing how the food that I feed them impacts that. I'm trying to figure out a system on how to better brush their teeth. I'm giving them like enzymatic powders and solutions in their food that help to kind of break down the plaque, but this is all very recent, very new. And the reason I added it to this list is because working as a veterinary assistant, seeing how common it is for cats, not just cats, but animals in general, to go to the dentist or need teeth extractions and need dental work was kind of crazy to me. Like, I don't know. I think that there's a lot involved in why that's becoming a thing. However, one of the things that I can address is it has a lot to do with how people in the household are choosing to feed their cats. Save yourself the trouble because this is a lot more common than you think it is. We had dentals like at least 4 or 5 times a week at most of my clinics, and every tooth is like $1,000. So take the advice or leave it. And the third piece of advice I would give you is if your current system for providing your cat's animal enrichment is to take all of their toys and kind of just throw them around the house and then let them play with it when they want to, that's one way of providing the cat's enrichment. But I think a better way to do that is to actually create a system where they can anticipate playtime. Let me elaborate a little bit. I used to just throw my cat's toys around, but I realized after some time they would start to devalue some of their toys. However, in times where I chose to take one of their toys and place it in front of them and then rotate which toys they got access to throughout the day, I recognized that changing the order in which I offered their toys to them was actually helping keeping them more entertained and more enriched throughout the day. The feeling of forgetting about something that you love and then being reminded that it was there and then being reminded of different things that you love throughout the day is actually a lot more enriching and rewarding than just leaving everything laid out. And if you make a routine out of it, they'll love it even more. In my household, we have an AM and a PM shift for how we choose to handle our cat care. I handle things in the morning, my boyfriend handles things at night, whether that's food, litter, or playtime. That's how our system works. So at night when it's my boyfriend's turn, he takes all of their toys and puts them away and puts them back in the drawer. But in the morning when it's my turn, I take out the specific toys that they'll be playing with for the day. Mochi is not as playful as Rico, so she's not really as affected by this, but I do recognize that she shows more interest when I do this. And lastly but not least, if you do not keep a file for your pet's information, you are doing not only yourself a disservice, but your pet a disservice as well. This is an essential item for a cat parent. Just like human parents have files for their children for schools, medical records, even just like memorabilia boxes, I encourage you to do the same for your cat. This can be useful in situations whether you may have a cat sitter coming over, whether you're applying for an apartment, whether you're preparing for a vet visit, or you're not really good at keeping a mental history of the cats in your household. It's not that hard to take 5 minutes out of your day, go on Canva really quickly. You can just search up a little resume and create like a pet resume for yourself. Like you can go creative, or if you're interested in the one that I have for my cats, you can find it in the description box below. Disclaimer, it is not free. However, I do let people pick whatever price they can afford. I've had an obsession with organization my whole life, so that's why my template gets as elaborate as it does. But if you just want something simple, it's very easy to download something for free on Canva. I like to keep a binder. I also have a digital version that I've downloaded. I feel like it's very easy to kind of just get into a routine with your animals that when something abrupt changes, it kind of forces you to start over and think from scratch about your animal. And this is just a way for you to keep updated with their history so that in times when knowing all of that information all at once is really important, you've got it all there. And that's it. If you've lasted to the end of this video, you've gained 4 ways to be a better cat parent today. If you appreciate the information I provided, please let me know by either giving this video a thumbs up or commenting something below. I appreciate you for watching this video. And if you're interested in learning just a little bit more about the model parent community, you can find that information in the description below. I also have another community in there called the Black Paw Print community that is for people of color on their veterinary journey. So if you fall in that category, you can also find more information about that community as well. But other than that, that's all I have for you guys. Thanks for sticking around and see you guys next time.